Welcome to this special edition at the World Architecture Festival. I'm here with Paul Finch, the Program Director of World Architecture Festival. Let's hear his insights on how this festival is making waves in the architecture world, inspiring innovation, and shaping the future of design. Hello, Paul. Congratulations on this edition of this festival. Can you please talk more about this?
Back in 2007, 2008, I was editor of the Review, an international architecture magazine, part of our company, EMAP, which launched World Architecture Festival. And we looked at the international market or international events, and we found many architects and designers would like to go to events which are essentially real estate events, and they would be like bit part players. And our question was, well, architects and designers actually make the built environment world. There should be an event where really they're the stars or they're the main players. And when we did our research, we found there wasn't really such an event because they either didn't take place every year, we wanted an annual event, or they focused on one subject like waterside architecture or one material like concrete. And we wanted to have an event which really encompassed everything that architects and designers do. So we did our research, we found some good sponsors. Grower, our founder sponsor, is still with us to this day from 2008 onwards. And the other thing that we wanted to do was to give architects the opportunity to compare and contrast how they were designing things in their country, their geography, their culture, and compare it to how their contemporaries were doing the same thing, maybe addressing the same issues, but in different ways, or addressing different issues in new ways. And that was really the inspiration for the event.
Yeah. And in your experience, how do you see architecture as a discipline getting evolved over a period of decade?
Well, I think over the years, the notable changes have been first, in no particular order, but first, the increase in high-rise construction across the world. And that has accompanied the continuing movement of people from the countryside to the city, the process of urbanization. Second, of course, a much greater emphasis on carbon reduction and kind of green policies, greater emphasis on nature, biophilic design, more focus on how we use water, and a greater focus on recycling and regeneration and retrofit. But all in the context of a world which is growing incredibly quickly. So, I think architects and designers are addressing challenges as far as they can. But actually, as they're succeeding some of the time, actually some of the issues are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of population growth, population shift, and the continuing extractive industries, which of course, the extractive industries, which are of course increasing as a result of demand because of population rise in some places. Now, of course, in others, there is a problem about the increasing.
The best example, India.
Well,
example,
the increasing aging population.
Yeah.
So you have these simultaneous issues and challenges, and I think all one can hope is that architects and designers can play their part in addressing these, but of course many of them will have to be dealt with by huge exercises in engineering and technology development, including of course AI.
Yeah, and we saw various kinds of trends impacting architecture. For example, we saw some time back, green architecture was one of the hot topics, and again, emphasis on sustainability in architecture. Now, how do you see that it is getting evolved? What kind of trends are emerging in architecture practice?
I think architects, or certainly the sort of architects who produce the work that is shortlisted for our awards, automatically take into account carbon calculations and energy calculations just as part of what they would always do. That was not the case 30, 40 years ago. I think the emphasis on a response to nature is a newer trend. We see it in Singapore in particular, where many buildings have greenery growing all over them or on top of them, and they've introduced regulations which actually require that sort of design to happen, which is not the case in many other countries. But I think it's going to happen because society's attitude to nature, the natural world, to ecosystems has become much more concentrated in recent times, and younger generations are more interested in it, and kids want to know, well, why are we losing birds and species? What are we doing about it? And I think, of course, the built environment plays a big part in this. So architects and designers have got a big role to play.
Yeah. And how do you see participation from India in World Architecture Festival?
Well, we've had interesting speakers and judges and award entrants from the Indian subcontinent, and I think it's been a mixture of kind of modern methods applied to sort of traditional materials and even forms of construction, and then of course some absolutely completely new things, the high-rise linked housing developments. And I think we sometimes forget in Europe that India has a huge middle-class population. It's not Maharajas and then everybody else is poor. It's very European in that sense.
Yeah.
And therefore there's a big demand for good architecture. And I think that Indian architects have brought a particular sensibility, partly in sort of Indian modernism. But I think, that is now moving on to this world where it's about mixture, it's about mixed use, it's about responses to nature, and it's about water. And we've had some very good projects, including a category winner last year by Morphogenesis, which is about the creation of this amazing kind of headquarters for the world of diamond cutters. Really extraordinary project. So, we look forward to many contributions from India in the future. And we've had interesting talks also, for example, about the way that not just India, but countries generally treat monsoons. I mean, do you resist nature or do you embrace nature? That's the question.
Absolutely. Talking about inclusion of, like how you said, architecture is today all about going with nature. And how do you envisage a World Architecture Festival from the future?
I think the future of World Architecture Festival, in a way, will be more of the same, because I think that our awards program, which is really the heart of the festival, we have a great conference program, but the reason that most people are here is to take part or to judge in the awards. And that system is live, it's not behind closed doors. Delegates get the chance to see the presentations. It's all in front of international 3-person juries. We try to make it as open as possible. And I think that's something which nobody else does. And I think that's a winning formula, and I think we're going to keep doing that. I think there's some ambitions to look at other areas of architecture which we don't cover at the moment. For example, the practice management, the whole business of running architectural practices, particularly larger practices and international practices, is something that we may give more attention to, maybe have a kind of business stream, but always allied to architectural and design values. It's also conceivable, because we've done one or two, that we would do regional events, perhaps conferences rather than awards. But at a larger scale, we recently did the first WAF China event with a Chinese partner, which had an awards program also. So there are some possibilities for geographic expansion, but I think the heart of the festival will always be this main annual live event.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you so much for interacting with us, and best wishes for upcoming editions. See you again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the
Thank you.
opportunity.